Aston Martin's attempt to get Sebastian Vettel's disqualification from the Hungarian Grand Prix reviewed has been dismissed by the FIA stewards. Vettel lost his second place in Hungary after Aston Martin failed to provide a 1 litre fuel sample using the correct procedure after the race. His team set in motion 2 different methods to try to get the decision overturned. The first has failed, and the second hangs in the balance as well. Aston Martin had initially contested that its estimates put the amount of fuel left in the tank at the end of the race at 1.44 litres, but the FIA's technical checks could only extract 0.3 litres. The team initiated the appeal procedure but petitioned for a right to review as well. This is a different, quicker process than a fully fledged appeal that allows the original stewards to reconvene and re-examine an incident in the wake of new evidence. Aston Martin claimed it had discovered significant new evidence relevant to the sanction which was unavailable to it at the time of the FIA stewards' decision. Judging that evidence is what Monday's initial hearing was convened for. If Aston Martin's evidence was accepted, then a full review would be arranged. If not, the petition would be thrown out. The Aston Martin contingent at the hearing comprised team boss Otmar Szafnauer, Chief Technical Officer Andrew Green and Sporting Director Andy Stevenson. The stewards, including ex-F1 driver Vittorio Liuzzi, heard the case via video conference and then deliberated over their decision. While the stewards only make part of the proceedings public, the bulk of Aston Martin's argument is made clear. Aston Martin's alleged new evidence was derived from analysis of more than 100 channels of fuel system related data that concluded Vettel's car suffered a fuel system failure. According to Aston Martin, the loss of fuel cell pressure meant the air pump in the fuel cell activated a maximum output that meant a significant amount of fuel was inadvertently discharged during the race. That left significantly less fuel in the tank than Aston Martin expected, which explains why only 0.3 litres could be obtained for the sample when the team was adamant there must be more in the tank. Essentially, only 0.3 litres could be extracted because the fuel cell problem muddied Aston Martin's estimations and meant there was only that much fuel left after all. The prime suspect of the problem is that the fuel cell pressure relief valve failed to seal, but any leak from the fuel cell would have caused the same issues. The team was keen to stress in its own statement that there was and is no suggestion that Vettel's car benefited from a performance advantage or that it was deliberate. The stewards assessed Aston Martin's petition in 4 ways to determine whether the evidence was 1. A new element, 2. Significant and relevant, 3. Discovered as opposed to created, which was the case when Red Bull tried to get Lewis Hamilton's British Grand Prix penalty reviewed, and 4. Unavailable at the time of the decision. The stewards felt that while all the telemetry data was available at the time, Aston Martin's careful analysis, interpretation and evaluation of this data was only possible much later because of the sheer volume and complexity. But more importantly, the analysis carried out did bring a new element, as it concluded there was a fuel system failure that would have resulted in the ejection of fuel during the Grand Prix. To that end, the stewards accepted Aston Martin had discovered a new element. We can consider this to have therefore satisfied parts 1, 3 and 4 of the stewards' checklist. But Aston Martin fell short of its discovery being significant and relevant, because the cause of the lack of fuel for the sample was never the stewards' original issue. Article 6.6.2 of the technical regulations states that competitors must ensure that a 1 litre sample of fuel may be taken from the car at any time during the event. It's a fact accepted by Aston Martin that only 0.3 litres could be taken from Vettel's car post-race. In the original decision, the stewards only assumed the fact that there was not enough fuel in the tank. The question of what caused that situation was not under consideration. The rules don't allow any exceptions under which circumstances or for what reasons it could be dispensed with. So for the assessment of whether the 1 litre requirement was broken, it does not make a difference why there was less than 1 litre. The discovery of an initially unnoticed malfunction is therefore not relevant. What would have been considered a relevant fact is if Aston Martin had been able to prove there was actually more than 1 litre of fuel left as it initially asserted. Based on the stewards' report, Aston Martin also seemed to argue that there have been previous decisions where, quote, the approach has reflected compliance with the purpose but not the wording of the regulations. But the stewards said this is related to examples such as accident damage causing parts to be lost during the race and replacement parts being added afterwards to reflect the starting weight of the car. They added, as long as such exemptions are not mentioned expressively in the written regulations, the stewards have to follow the wording. With all that considered, it's no wonder the stewards concluded that Aston Martin's right of review must be denied for reasons of admissibility. But as we mentioned earlier, separately to the right of review, Aston Martin also initiated the appeal procedure that could allow it to lodge a full-scale case with the FIA International Court of Appeal. Based on the stewards' verdict, it would seem unlikely that Aston Martin would win a separate case, given this issue is rooted firmly in compliance of a black and white rule. However, the difference between this review hearing and an appeal is that Aston Martin could only put forward its new evidence for the right of review, and there is no opportunity to push back on this steward's verdict. In a full appeal hearing, Aston Martin would be able to present its case in full. It may opt against doing so, but at the time of recording, the team was still considering its position. Zafnauer said in a statement, "Sebastian drove brilliantly in Hungary and we are pleased to have been given the opportunity to show significant new evidence that we discovered since the race. We felt that the evidence we presented was relevant and demonstrated to the FIA that he should have been reinstated following his disqualification." Unfortunately, the FIA took a different view, and despite the fact that the accuracy of our new evidence was not contested, Sebastian's disqualification has been upheld on the basis that the new evidence was not deemed relevant. That is disappointing, and we will now consider our position in respect of the full appeal process. We suspect a lot of you share the view that it's a shame Vettel has lost his second podium of the season, but are you surprised that Aston Martin's review bid failed? Join the debate in the comments and give us a thumbs up if you appreciated our explanation of this decision, even if you're no fan of the outcome itself. And if you're new around here and want to see more of what we're up to, then hit that subscribe button and join us again for future videos.